Hi friends, how you doing? It's Friendship Friday, and this week I want to talk about being different. Not different in the sense that everybody has a unique personality and unique likes, wants, and interests, and to be the best you. Different more in the sense of understanding and either being a part of or not being a part of conforming to what the critical mass around you is doing. Every few weeks, I see another wave of MSP content pushing this idea that you have to be different as an MSP or you'll be swallowed up by the competition or be irrelevant or be unable to find clients. I don't think you need to be different, at least not the way maybe it often gets said. I think you need to be competent. You're so focused and there's so much emphasis on standing out that we haven't even nailed the fundamentals. It's like a pizza shop claiming to have the best pizza in town while burning half of the pies and forgetting to put cheese on the other half. Maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't that we need to be different. The problem is our execution. To be totally clear, I am not anti finding a niche, finding something that's unique or interesting or special. I think that's wonderful. And there's a lot of advantages to that. I just simply don't think that's the solution or the answer. It's not the magic weight loss pill. That's something extra. And I would argue oftentimes something extra, you gotta wait till later to even do. MSPs are terrified of this idea of being called a commodity because they think it means that they have to compete on price. And we tend to associate the word commodity negatively. You know, a bushel of rice is a commodity. A barrel of oil is a commodity. Eggs that now apparently cost too much are a commodity. I'm none of those things. They just compete on price. And that's true. All of those things I just mentioned also have internationally accepted and regulated standards. And you are a commodity, my friends. I'm sorry, but you are a commodity. That's okay. What you do is not unique or special. It was decades ago. It's not now. And that's okay. That's not bad. That's not dirty. A commodity means a standardized product or service delivered at an accepted level of quality that the consumer understands. That is why the only thing left to debate is price. I argue that many of us don't even deliver to an acceptable standard to begin with. We don't even meet the level to be treated as a commodity. And most of us MSPs, we're just not even there. So this talk of differentiation is often a little bit premature. I've worked with and around a lot of entrepreneurs, but I haven't been one myself. And that's allowed me a fair amount of clarity to see things from an outside perspective that a lot of y'all aren't really able to see because you're in the thick of it. What I tend to see is when you tell an entrepreneur to be different, they confuse that with just not doing what they think everyone else is doing. So you see this, like, you know, we don't offer 24/7 support, or we always offer 24/7 support because, you know, the industry doesn't do one or the other. But no one stops to really think about why would either way even be valuable to a client? What are the outcomes? Or we do strategic IT, as does everyone else. Who isn't? Who in your local market wakes up every morning and goes, fuck no, I'm doing tactical IT. In fact, I'm doing tactical terrible IT. None of them. And it ends up sounding and manifesting a lot like that teenage rebellion effect. You know, we're not like all those other MSPs, but you are. You're just a hot topic version of the Abercrombie MSP. You're both conformists to very large groups. You're not actually different at all. If there isn't a clearly defined vanilla standard, what are you actually rebelling against? And our industry lacks that baseline level of vanilla competency to differentiate from. When we think a little bit more about differentiation versus being different, I know they're the same word, but if you think about it from a thought experiment, a good example, and one I support, is verticalization, you know, specialize in a certain type of client. And it is a differentiator, but does it make you different? Superficially, it makes you different. If you're an expert in dental or you're an expert in legal or something, yes, it makes you better at servicing that one type of client. But think about it. Is that really because you're different? Is the value in the niche or the value in the expertise and repeatability you have built by limiting the scope of what you're doing, by not trying to be all things to all people, suddenly you become excellent at doing the exact same MSP stuff as everyone else, just for a very narrow scope. So yeah, superficially that's different, but if you think about it, that's not different at all. That's just executing competently. Another one that I love is client experience as a differentiator, right? Because that is so important. And of course you want to have a good client experience and be able to highlight why. But once again, if you really break it down past that superficial look, that's not different. That's your job. That is literally the job you signed up for, is excellent client experience. That's the entire zeitgeist, the magnum opus, the modus operandi of being an MSP. So if you're really good at it, that's not different. It's what you're supposed to be doing. And think about that. Everyone around you wants to be really good at that. If you're all really good at that, are any of you different? Consistent service is rare in this industry. It's just not something we've mastered as an industry yet. There are outliers, sure, and there are some MSPs that set the gold standard here. But as a whole, this is an area where most of us fall more often than we succeed. And we see this, all the language, the tricks, the gimmicks we throw in, words like white glove and things like that, is all just theatrical noise we throw in to kind of hide the fact that as an industry, we're not really good at this right now. You really want to stand out? Be that MSP that picks up the phone, documents well, and does the basics right every time. That's the thing. If the goal here is to have a business that you're proud of, that will consistently be attractive to new clients, then being different isn't really the goal. Being excellent is. And if you think about that as like an actual formula for success, and it's the same idea as a person, a human, you want to deliver predictable, repeatable service that meets expectations. You want to train your team to execute at a consistently high level every time. You want to build, by doing those other two things, a fantastic reputation of just unimpeachable, consistent quality. And that makes differentiation totally irrelevant. You don't need to have pink polka dot pizza sauce. You need to make great pizza every time. And then I'll come get pizza from any pizza place. All these gimmicks we're chasing, it just is an excuse to avoid execution. And for entrepreneurs, it can be really dangerous because in your brains, you're looking for that. You're looking for that magical solution. And things like hyper-focusing on, oh, you got to be different, past the superficial, is really, really dangerous because it can lead you down nonsense paths where you ignore the basic work you need to do to actually hit the goals you want. And if you think about it, tying it back to people love to think we're unique, right? And to an extent, certainly we are. Everybody's brain, their thoughts, what's inside it is a little bit different. Everybody is a slightly different shape or size. Everybody's got minor superficial things that make us different. But beyond that, we're more the same than we're different. And this isn't some like huggy-feely speech that the supervillain's given at the end of the movie about how we're the same. Like, think about it, like physiology, 99.9% the same DNA. In fact, most mammals have the same DNA as us. You know, whatever language you speak, there's shared grammar and rules. And whatever language families you speak, shared grammar and rules. Culture, there's societal norms, traditions, expectations. All of these things I'm saying are either elements of conformity out of your control or elements of conformity we've all explicitly agreed to have a civilization at any level. Even if you are somebody who is a fan of an anarchistic commune somewhere that, you know, subsists without a leader, and you don't believe in strange women lying in ponds distributing swords, you are still conforming to an ideal. There is no way in a group setting to not conform to something. Even if everyone in the group is objectively not conforming, that is conformity. So this idea that like being different is the answer is really just nonsense, that we're just kind of smoke and mirrors around ourselves. Conformity isn't bad. It's how society functions. That's how the universe functions, how physics functions. But MSPs seem to think they're the exception, that being different's the only way to succeed. And that's just not true. we all know some people who are just absurd for the sake of being absurd. They stand out, and sometimes they even stand out in a good way. If you think about it, like that guy who wears a tuxedo to go grocery shopping, or the one who thinks they're different because they wear a Hawaiian shirt to, you know, be out in the industry, or that friend of yours who only speaks in movie quotes. Yeah, they're different, but is that what makes them successful? And also, are they different? When I go to a large trade show, I don't know, 1 in every 15 people I see there's wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Was I really that unique and clever by deciding to wear a Hawaiian shirt and boat shoes to a business conference? I'm bucking the established trend of business attire, so by that definition, it's different, but am I actually different? And you're probably going to argue, well, yeah, you're Dean. Exactly. I'm Dean. The Hawaiian shirts, the differentiators, are not what make me successful. Well, MSPs, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, my friends. If you want to find a differentiator, that's amazing. And I'm proud of you for doing that. And I have met a lot of really interesting creative MSPs that have really interesting ideas and approaches and methods to how they've arrived at MSPing. And I will tell you unequivocally, that is not why any of them are successful. And if you're sitting on the other side of this camera and you're saying, but Dean, the only reason why I get clients is because I'm different than my competitors. No, that's not why. It's because you're good at what you do. It's because you're excellent. It's because you have a commitment to something that you're consistently doing. That's why. It's not because you're different. It's okay. It's okay to accept for a minute that you can be the same as every other MSP and still be excellent and still have tons of clients and an amazing company that is wonderful, interesting, fun, and innovative, but still conform. Think back to high school. We all fit into a group. Yet here all of you are successful, owning businesses, employing people, creating families, supporting local small businesses. We all started off conforming. I don't think it was the conformity or lack thereof that got you to where you are. I think that was just you and your hard work. Great Friday, everybody. Oh, and if you watched all that and you're still sitting over there and doubling down and saying, no, differentiation is the only way forward. I have to be different. I want to point something out. There's not a single professional service that you have ever interacted with that the reason you buy from them or trust them is because they're different. You definitely didn't pick a lawyer because they were the most different. You did not pick a doctor because they were the most different. You did not go to the most different oral surgeon. You did not pick the most different anesthesiologist. You do not want the most different arborist, and you don't want the most different CPA. In all of those cases, you want somebody who is able to execute their role at the industry standard, consistently, professionally, and with a level of excellence that has established a reputation where they can clearly communicate outcomes and value to you. And you're willing to pay a good price for that. They may do some things that are different. That has nothing to do with why you're buying from them. Ever. And if you really want to be different, where's your aliens Nostromo hat from the movie? I don't see any of you wearing one of these. Guess I'm different.